If I was to sum up this show in one word, I'd say, what? This whole series was so fucking bizarre and amazed it even got made. It's about a group of people who wake up on a ship to find the crew are gone and an alien has managed to get aboard. They then have to kill the alien because obviously aliens are bad. That's it, and there's 10 episodes of this shit. Every time they get close to killing the alien, someone ends up doing something so fucking ridiculous that the alien manages to get away. But what makes it even worse is how incredibly shit the alien is. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but it's the least threatening thing that's supposedly terrifying. At no point did I find this show scary, however I did find most of it to be hilarious. I'm going to show you the first scene that is meant to scare you. Well, it wouldn't be a modern horror without a loud music sting for a really pointless reason. But the icing on the cake is when you find out who this guy is. You see, throughout the whole series I had the bright idea of interrupting the story to show you a bunch of flashbacks. Every episode spent about a third of the time just telling you a story that doesn't usually matter. In episode 1 we get a look at Shun's life and who he was on Earth. We find out he was a killer for the Yakuza. Now let's look at that scene again. What a nice room. Oh my god, that was terrifying, I just shit myself. This ex-Yakuza member was just frightened by a sprinkler. What an excellent way to introduce a main character. So what has led him to this point? What events could have transpired to turn this killer from one of the most infamous gangs into an absolute pussy? Well, what happens is he goes through the most generic revenge story I've ever seen. Shun has a brother in the police force who tells him about a colonisation mission to the planet Thea. Shun will only go if his brother comes along with him, as he's one of those cops that works really hard but isn't appreciated. The police are about to raid the gang hideout, but before they do, Shun is told they're coming.
Get out!
He tries to run away and manages to get himself shot, but luckily his brother comes to the rescue. They get to the apartment to find the Yakuza boss was waiting for them. Oh, what a shame. This guy who isn't even a part of the main story has died. Shun gets his bullet removed by this guy who becomes important in a bit. He then goes to the boss to beg for his forgiveness, but then gets beaten like the little bitch he is. Also, just a quick side note, this scene is much kinkier than I think the writer intended. A man on his knees begging while being beaten with a long hard rod. He then speaks to this old man who is revealed to be the father of the boss. He takes the old guy to an abandoned warehouse so he can shoot him in the cock while on the phone to his son. He says come alone with no guns, which he does. Psych! No one ever fucking does that! He gets pistol whipped by that guy said would be important because he couldn't shoot an old man. Shun is about to get shot in the head, but in a shocking twist the guy fucking shoots the boss because he deserved it more. Fuck, that story was good. Wanna know the relevance this had to the plot? Fucking none. It's only there to tell me shit I didn't need to know or what I could have figured out. If you wanted to show he's in a gang, put more focus on his obvious gang tattoos. You put them there for a reason. If you want to show he's a killer and good with guns, then show him confidently using a gun while not really being fazed by killing someone. Leave a bit of mystery to the characters and let the audience piece it together. Don't just tell us who they are, especially when one of the main themes is about not knowing who these characters are. Now, the flashback wasn't completely pointless, as they was able to give us a bit of information that is important to the plot. I mean, they could have revealed this information at a different time and got rid of the unnecessary flashback, but that probably would take a bit more effort. We're told about the blank slate.
We refer to it as tabula rasa,
which is just a lame excuse so the show can have vaguely interesting characters. Basically, when you join Origin, which is the name of the colonisation mission to Thea, they erase your past life. So if you happen to be an ex-Yakuza member, that's okay, because all those killings you've done over the years would go without any punishment. But why the fuck would anyone want to encourage criminals to join up? Because that's all you're going to get, and we already know this is the first person we meet as a criminal. It'll probably discourage regular people at the same time, as I wouldn't want to start a colony with a bunch of killers. Because it's a nice looking planet, unlike Mars. They could have just put an ad onto the internet and loads of people would have just signed up. Remember Mars 1? Because loads of people signed up to be the first people to die on the Rust planet. You can't even breathe on Mars. But look at this planet. It's got a shitload of trees, a nice beach. What more could you want? Well, now we have that shit out of the way, I think it's time to start with episode 1. The Road Not Taken. We start off the episode with that scene of him waking up and the bit with the wheat. Some alarms go off and we come across yet another jump scare. It was just a person behind the door, you fucking pussy. He's really making the Yakuza look like twats. They chat for a bit but get interrupted by a shadow going in front of the camera, which I have never seen done before. Did they really need to add the whispering sound effects? It makes no sense and he's just there to be creepy, but at least it isn't a jump scare. Could you imagine that being the first casualty? 5 minutes in and someone gets crushed to death by some barrels before they've even established a threat. God, that would be stupid. We meet some more characters and with the knowledge of the blank slate, I'd like you to think about some of the backstories they could have gone for. Because they really take full advantage of it. Also, to give this series a bit of credit where credit is due, they have a very wide variety of cast. We have old and young, male and female, gay and straight, black and white, tall and short, fat and thin. They've got the lot, so well done to you. The group comes across a dead end, so the only way to go now is up this ladder that's placed awkwardly in the middle of this bottomless pit. Who the fuck made this shit? There's bottomless pits, killer robots, cryopods that try and drown you, then spit you onto the ground neck first? Well, these three go climbing and the others start debating pressing a big red button. They've only been at this dead end for about 10 minutes now, so it's understandable you'd want to press big red buttons. They always lead to something good. They vote on if they should press it and it comes to a tie, but the creepy looking guy presses it anyway, causing this shit to happen. This scene was so funny to me. They'd only been awake for an hour max, and somebody has already died. I already don't like them as they've killed one of their own out of carelessness and stupidity. We know basically nothing about this character except he's in the Navy.
I was in the Navy.
So the audience will clearly not give a shit about this guy dying, meaning all this scene does is show us how impatient the rest of them are. Also, no alien yet, which makes me think they're fucked when it turns up. After they finish crying, the group gets into the elevator that appears because that big red button that gets rid of ladders is also what turns on the elevator. God, that is a fucking stupid design. Look how big that room is compared to the elevator. There's also nothing stopping you from falling down the Empire Strikes Back looking pit except a small railing. After a quick jump scare, they all meet up in the control room, continuing to be surprised that nobody's there. Now this moment gave me a little bit of hope. This scene shows subtlety with the way she turns on the computers because it's a very advanced spaceship that most people wouldn't be able to control. She doesn't look surprised by what she's done, so this tells me she's good with computers. It's basic stuff, but they can't even leave it at that. In a later episode, she gets some flashbacks that basically tells me she's good with computers. It also tells me a bunch of pointless stuff during the flashbacks and also throws in something that becomes slightly relevant to the plot that could have been revealed in a much better way. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Why do they have such a loud walkie-talkie? Oh, that sight might make the audience jump when it turns on. We find out some of the crew are still aboard the ship and they sound kind of fucked up, so the two main characters have to go and rescue her. They also bring along Henry because he has medical experience, and this girl because...
You helped me. Now I'm helping you.
all he did was tell her to breathe when the Navy guy died. We're now treated to this brilliant conversation where Shun thinks people can't get better, but Lana disagrees. God, I can't wait to find out her backstory in the form of several pointless flashbacks. So we find out that the crew is actually evacuated, which is why the ship is so empty. But what I want to know is, where did they go? You see, they've been on this mission for quite some time, which is why the passengers had to go into cryosleep. And we find out later on that they are 9 days away from the planet that they're heading towards. So obviously that means they're very far from Earth, but yet kind of close to a planet that so far hasn't been colonised yet. Which means they have just jumped into pods and shot themselves into the emptiness of space to die. I would have taken my chances on the ship. So far it doesn't seem to be too bad, as they've been wandering around finding fuck all. Yeah, somebody's already died, but that was out of stupidity. So I'd rather take my chances with that than starve to death in the lonely depths of space. There's only so long you can survive by drinking your piss. We join the rescue group while they explore the set of Amazing Spider-Man 2. We get the usual screaming, come across a woman dying in the ceiling next to a used gun. Oh shit, stuff's about to happen. Lana wants to go into the room that has a blood trail leading into it, and Shun is understandably cautious, because that's a lot of blood. Nobody has ever said, thank God we found a blood trail leading into a locked room. So Lana then goes for the old, what if there was you in there? And they decide to follow this with a flashback. Do you see what I mean about interrupting the story? They're finally confronted with a threat that isn't caused by them, and they just pause it to show you another story. Who gives a shit? It's like this show was designed for TV, because this is what they could have done.
Hi, Phil Swift here for Flex Tape, the super strong waterproof tape.
Also, I want to know what's happening when he has these flashbacks. Is he just staring vacantly into the distance while we hear screaming in the background? After plucking up the courage, Shun and Lana go into this dark room. Well, to be honest, it's been mostly dark rooms. This whole ship is pretty much painted black and dimly lit.
You can't go in there. You can't go in there.
Oh no, the room with blood leading into it isn't safe. Oh shit, there's slime! Well, this is scary. I hope there isn't any jump scares.
Shit.
I wonder what happened in here. Oh yeah, I didn't spot that. I guess this also left all these bodies mutilated and... Another fucking person just going about trying to scare people. Just a bunch of dicks on this shit. Well, he hits the floor looking kind of dazed, so Lana tries talking to him because he's clearly a rationally thinking man at the moment. He tries to whisper to her, but just shouts in her ear. And now for the scene that I thought was kind of cool.
What's happening?
That's a pretty decent bit of body horror. Nowhere near the levels of John Carpenter's The Thing, but it's pretty cool. Well, he stops fidgeting to whisper something properly this time.
Inside.
Oh, well, that makes sense. There's something inside of him. He wasn't just breaking his bones for the fun of it. But now he's dead. Now he's dead. I'd also like to make you aware of the amount of jump scares in that short scene. There were 5 jump scares from the moment they entered that room. Frankly, I'm surprised there wasn't a jump scare for this. They decide they should get out of there, but before they do, they hear a voice. What a spectacular start to a series. But how will they follow that episode, I hear you ask? Well, they follow it brilliantly. So you better be excited for when the alien starts to fuck shit up.